Hi everyone, it's me, Spring, the fiber enthusiast, and welcome to the channel. I want to welcome each and every single one of you and thank you for being here. All right, so today is a knitting video, and this knitted little bag, which you can make at any size you would like, is what we're going to be working on today. For this project, you can use an I-cord maker as I have over here. You can use just a piece of string. You can use a crocheted I-cord. You could use a ribbon. You could use a chain. You can use all kinds of different things to use as your drawstring. So a crocheted chain, should I say. Basically, what you're going to need is some yarn. I recommend some cotton yarn because the intention for me making this was to have like some spa stuff to go, or a little bit bigger for, say, a bathing suit. Something that could potentially be wet, and you need for it to have room to breathe, a yarn that breathes, something that is going to allow it to dry out. So some stitch markers are always handy to have just in case you need them. A needle to sew in your ends. Some yarn of your choice. Again, if you want to use cotton, that's great. If not, you can use acrylic. You can use whatever. I will be using cotton just as I did here. I want to say this was Hobby Lobby sugar wheel, and it was, I don't know, it was quite some time ago when I got this, and I just had it on the shelf and wanted to work something up. This is cotton. I love this cotton. There is a tag in here somewhere. Let's see here. I know it's I love this cotton. I just don't know if it's got a specific color name. It probably does. Yep, Buttercup. But you use whatever you have available to you and what you like best. Knitting needles to match. Me personally, I'll be using a US 5, so a 3.75 millimeter. And you don't have to create, don't go out and buy anything special to create an I-cord for the drawstring part. Use a piece of ribbon, use a crocheted chain, use whatever you have available to you. You can knit the I-cord as well, but again, this is up to you. I'm going to show you what I did to make this. This is a twofer video, and I say twofer because you're going to get a stitch that is generally done in the flat, which is the trellis mesh stitch. I'm going to show you how to do it in the round. So go ahead, grab your needles and grab your yarn, and let's start casting on. For the needles that I'm choosing, you can use DPNs by all means, or two smaller circulars, up to you. The overall length from tip to tip on my circulars is 32 inches. Now, this is going to be done in Magic Loop. The cast on is going to be a little different than normal because of the way that I did this bag here. So we're going to cast on a little different than just a long tail cast on and then split them in half and start working in the round. I'm actually going to do it a little bit different because I want the bottom to be together. So I'm going to get my yarn here. And we are going to cast on in this figure 8 method. It's super fun, super easy here. So you're going to hold your needles together. And I usually pop one out a little bit further than the other. Let me zoom in so you can see this better. So I usually pop one out just a little bit further, and what that does is it makes it easier for me when I'm doing the figure 8. So I'm going to put my first stitch on there, and it's just a slip a slip knot here on to my needles. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come under the empty needle, up and over and between them for my second stitch. Then under the next one, up and over and between them for the third stitch. Now we need this in multiples of 2. How many ever you cast on this way is going to be the width of the bottom of your bag right here. So for instance, this one is 48 stitches and it's in multiples of 2. And you're just going to repeat this under and between the 2. Under, over, between the 2. That's kind of why I have it so that way I can go in between the 2 a little bit easier with one higher than the other. And you're just going to do this until you have the multiples that you're looking for, the width that you're looking for. Now I'm not going to make a whole nother huge bag. I'm just going to show you how to work this and work the stitch and then work the top. So we're not going to do 48 here. You do as many as you need. It's just a 2-row repeat until we get to the top and we make the top. But yeah, here we go. So you're just going to cast on in multiples of 2. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, and 20. So I'm going to go probably 28 stitches. It'll be about half the size of the bottom of this bag. And I'll be right back. All right, so once you have the amount of cast on stitches for the width of the bottom of your bag that you choose, we're going to turn our needles so that way our working yarn is around the back needle here. Now we can pull, holding your stitches, we can pull that back needle out, create a loop, and into working position. All right, so after we pull our back needle out into working position, this is how your yarn should look. Your last stitch is going around the cable and it's going to the back. So when you pick it up, whether you're a thrower or continental knitter, either way, when you pick it up, you're bringing it up to go around this next stitch on the front needle. And you have created your last stitch around your cable. So we're going to go in and see the figure 8 here is almost complete. We're up and over, down, around, and now by going in and knitting this first stitch, we have completed that last stitch over here on the cable. All right, so we're just going to work our way down, knitting every stitch on your cable. Now it's going to feel a little awkward doing this for sure, because we're not knitting in the round and then sewing up the top. We're knitting from the bottom up, and the bottom is completely knitted across the bottom. Instead of working a flat panel and sewing them together, we're starting from the bottom and going to be working in the round. This is just one way to do this. There's other ways that you can start off like this. This is just one way. Get down here to the end, and then I'll show you how to turn your needles and begin the second side. To get started on this, it is a fidgety process because of the way it starts off. But once you get going, it's not a big deal. It's pretty easy work. Let's go ahead and loosen that up some. And there we go. All right, so now we're gonna turn our work over. Slide our cable back down into those stitches. And once you have that cable back down into the stitches, the needle back down into the stitches, we're going to pull our back cable out and into working position. So creating that loop and bringing the needle around. Pick up your yarn, and now we're going to begin knitting the back needle stitches. They're now in the front. So the second side, we're going to begin knitting. And you're going to knit all the way down to the end. And now we're going to knit 5 rounds. We're just going to give ourselves a nice little knitted bottom here. And you're going to do it exactly the same way. And by keeping your yarn, your working yarn, in the center, so when you turn your work over, your working yarn is coming from between the 2 needles, not behind the needle like this. Otherwise, you're creating a stitch. And you don't want it in front of your working needle and over here. Otherwise, you would be purling. So it has to be between that cable and between that needle, just like that. Now go ahead and knit 5 rounds. And this is where your stitch marker comes in handy, so you can keep a track of where you are. Knit 5 rounds, just like we just did, and I'll meet back up with you. All right, so once you have your 5 rows of knitting for the bottom of your bag, we are now going to start the trellis mesh. And we're going to start with knit 1, and now yarn over and knit 2 together. Just like that. Then yarn over, knit 2 together. Yarn over, knit 2 together. Now, when you come to the end of your first row, you're going to notice you have a 1 stitch left. You're going to knit that 1 stitch. So you knit the first stitch, and then you knit 2 together and yarn over all the way to the last stitch. Then you knit that one. Now we're going to turn our work over and repeat what we just did. And that is it for repeating round 1. For repeating round 2, all you're going to do is knit every stitch all the way around. And that is your 2-round repeat. And you are going to do that for as many rounds as you want the height of your bag, with the exception of this top part where we're going to do the drawstring eyelet holes and the little bit of these like puff stitches. All right, so say you have the bag as big as you would like. You've worked your 2-round repeats for the height of the bag that you wish. now we're going to start working on the top part. And I want you to knit 5 rounds, just like we did down here at the beginning. Just knit every stitch all the way around for 5 rounds, and I'll meet back up with you and we'll do the next little part. All right, once you have your 5 rounds, let's create the eyelet round for your string to go through, your drawstring to go through. So what we're going to do is we're going to knit 2, knit 1, knit 2, yarn over, and knit 2 together. Knit 2, 1 and 2, yarn over, and knit 2 together. Knit 1, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together, knit 2, 1 and 2, and turn our work over and do the same thing. On the opposite side, we're going to do the exact same thing where we knit 2 to start with. So knit 1, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together. Knit 1, knit 2, yarn over, knit 2 together. All right, now I want you to knit 3 rounds, knit every stitch. That, like that, and then we're just going to knit 3 rounds every single stitch. And what that'll do is give us eyelets for our drawstring to go through, and a little bit of structure on each side of those eyelets. Go ahead and continue that, knitting every stitch all the way around for 3 rounds. All right, we're going to begin the puff round. It's like a little puff stitch. And I zoomed in real close so you can keep up now with what I'm doing here. Now, if you want to omit this and just start casting off, you are absolutely welcome to do that. This just gives it a little extra, I don't know, a little extra texture to it. So we're going to knit this very first stitch, and we're going to be repeating this. So knit the first stitch. The next stitch we're going to work into 3 times. We're going to knit, bring the yarn to the front, we're going to purl, bring the yarn to the back, and we're going to knit. Now you're going to pop that stitch off, and the first 2 you made, so the purl stitch and the knit stitch, out of that same stitch, we're going to pop it over. So I'm going to grab hold of it, and you can do one at a time, whatever works best for you, but I'm going to pop that over and over. So now we're back down to 2 stitches. And that gives you just this little tiny bump. Let's knit the next stitch because we're on repeat now. So we're going to knit the next stitch, and it just gives you this little itty bitty bump. We're going to knit, purl, and then knit again. Pop it off, go back to your purl stitch and your knit stitch. And we're going to bring them over the top of the last knit. So taking the first 2 you did and pop them over the last one. Get a little bit, there we are. And then again, knit one, then knit, purl, and knit. Take that purl and the knit and pop it over the last knit. Then knit your next stitch, and again, knit, purl, knit, pop it off, slip that purl and that knit over the top of your last knit. Sorry, I'm out of frame here. I'm just trying to dig under these stitches. There we go. Well, almost. There we go. It's a little fiddly and it gives you a little bit of a problem sometimes. Knit one, and now we're going to knit, purl, and knit, pop it off. I need some more yarn. And again, we're just popping those 2 stitches prior over the top of the last one you did. So one way to look at it is, we're going to knit the next stitch. Now we're going to increase this next stitch from 1 to 3. So here's 1, the purl makes 2, and knit again makes 3. So we just turn that 1 stitch into 3. Now we need to take it back to 1. So we're going to go to the 2 stitches prior to the last one and pop them over your last stitch. And you may have to do it one at a time. There we go. So that is one side, and that's what it looks like. You have these little puffs. This one's kind of hidden back here. There we go. So we have these little puff stitches every other stitch. When you get to the end, your last stitch will be a little puff stitch, and then you will knit 1 full round, and then we'll cast off. And I'll show you how I cast off, and then how to weave through those eyelets your little drawstring. All right, so once you have completed your round of knitting, we're gonna cast off. And the reason I bring you back for that is mainly to show you when I cast off, I do not make my cast off super tight. So I knit 1, and you can do a stretchy cast off if you so choose, but I'm just making it a normal cast off, just not tight. So I'm going to knit my second one, and I'm making the loops loose. They're not super tight. I'm going to pull that first one up and over the second one to cast it off. Like that. And I'm not going to tighten down. I'm just going to leave that loose stitch. Now I'm going to knit the next one. Again, letting it be loose. I don't want it so loose that it's, you know, just a bunch of strings, but I do want to be able to have some give to it. So we're just casting off each stitch, and I'm just giving it some leeway here. I don't tighten it down on my needle. I give it some leeway. There's probably enough room in there for a needle 3 times the size that I'm using. There you go. But that's because otherwise, if it's too tight, you won't even need a drawstring. It won't even open very far. If you do it loose like this, you will have plenty of leeway. So I'm going to go ahead and finish casting off all the way around, and then I'll bring you back and show you how to weave in your drawstring, just using a piece of yarn to give you that idea as to how you do that. Okay, so for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just putting a piece of yarn on a needle, and I'm going to show you how to go around, or how I go around. I just put it on a needle and take the needle and go into the first hole and up through the second hole, down through the next hole, and I just work my way all the way around. Find the next one, work my way around, and here we are at the end. So once you've pulled your drawstring through, you now have both ends coming out, and you can drawstring it closed like such. Of course, the bigger the bag, the more eyelets you will have, and the more you're going to be scrunched up better than this. This doesn't have a whole lot of eyelets on it because it is a small bag, but you would just do that. Make sure and sew in your ends, and as I said, it's the more eyelets you have, the more scrunched up it gets. But that is the drawstring bag. Now, as far as using one of these embellish, it says embellish knit, it's just an I-cord maker. It's not necessary, but you can absolutely use it to create an I-cord like I did, or you can just crochet a chain or use a piece of ribbon to go on your bag for a drawstring. But that is the basics for the bag. This is a little bit thicker, bigger yarn than what I used on the gray, but nevertheless, it still works up. And then you have these really cool little puff stitches around the top just to kind of give it a little something extra. Be blessed, be a blessing, and until next time, bye for now.